Hello and welcome to the Week 8 devlog for Quiver, my HTC Vive archery game. This week I have a number of quality of life changes and small changes to the game, as well as I've been working on the multiplayer system. So in this video we'll look at all the small changes that I've made to the game so far, and then transition into talking about the current state of multiplayer. Even though it's not available right now, a lot of progress has been made, and I want to share with you what the future holds for that, as well as where I've gotten so far. So, without further ado, let's start into the small changes that are available here in the current 0.3a version of the game. So one of the first things you may notice is we now have a little fire here, and that is the exact same system as Longbow, where if you take an arrow out and put it into the fire, the arrow catches on fire, you can shoot it, get a nice fire trail, and currently if you hit an enemy with it, it'll do an additional 50% damage, roughly. And that's not a final effect. Eventually the enemy will catch on fire, similar to the elite effects where the fire flows off from their mesh, and either a damage over time or a single effect type thing will happen. Right now I just wanted to make sure that it was in the game, it worked, and it did have an effect somewhat on enemies, even if it's not the final effect. You can light the arrow either from just your hand, or if it's on the bow already, you can light it from its knocked point. So that's the fire is just a cool little thing. It's only down here, it's not up on the tower right now, but it has nice volumetric kind of smoke and fire, sparks that come off with turbulence, and if we switch to high settings, this high settings button now replaced the spawn skull button that used to spawn a flying skull around. If we turn that high settings on, we get this grass system, but we also get a distortion effect around the fire. This is totally experimental. It's a very processor intensive effect because it requires a second render for both eyes of what's behind it. So if this gives you trouble or unwanted effects because of the nature of the two eyes doing parallaxing, this effect might not look good. I'd love feedback on it. It looks fine to me right now in the editor and in my computer version of the game, but this may not work for everybody's computer. Unity has stated that some of their effects aren't going to work, this type of effect in particular. So this distortion shader on the fire and the kind of medium level grass here are the high settings currently. So I'm going to turn them back onto low. Since I'm recording and it's running in the editor, I'm already using a lot of my computer's processing power to run the game, so I don't need to I don't need to drop any frames while I'm recording. Some of the other additions, a quality of life change that a number of people have talked about but not really been able to articulate what needed to change exactly, and then someone in the discussions finally figured it out from Longbow, is an offset for the hand position from the controller when you draw the arrow towards your face. So right now, if I draw an arrow toward my face, or if I knock an arrow and it's down, if it's not pulled back at all, there's no offset to my hand. Now, as I pull the arrow back, my controller is resting under my chin, but it looks like my hand is right at my cheek, and that lets you line up a shot much better to get a great straight shot, and it won't have you smack your controller into your headset anymore. So this is a really fantastic addition that someone finally was able to figure out what needed to change. It's a subtle effect in the Longbow, and I hope that it's a fairly subtle effect here because it only really affects you as you pull the arrow farther back towards your face. And it should be a fairly intuitive system where as you're drawing, you're noticing the bow go up subconsciously, and hopefully you just naturally rest it correctly where it's not smacking into your headset. The other thing that people mentioned was the problem in getting the quiver to correctly go to the place that they wanted to, because there are two sides that the quiver can sit on. And what I've done, thanks to another suggestion by a person in the Steam comments, is that now, depending on the hand you grab the quiver with, that decides what side of the body you'll be placing the quiver on. So if I grab it with my left hand, or if I grab it with my right hand, I'm going to place the quiver on the right side of my body. So I can either drop it here or on my shoulder. If I grab it with my left hand, then the other side of my body becomes available to use. So I can drop it on my left hip or my left shoulder. And that is, I think, really useful and intuitive. And because really, if you're holding the bow with your left hand, you don't want to be crossing over yourself to grab an arrow from the quiver. You can still get around this if you really want to by grabbing the quiver, placing it, and then swapping hands. If you really want to do that, you can still set it up. It just requires a bit of a workaround. So I like it on my right shoulder, and so I'll keep it there for the rest of the video. Another thing that you may have already noticed is I've lowered the walls down a significant amount. They're really aesthetics. I don't expect you to be doing too much dodging behind walls. And some shorter people have complained a little bit, or at least said that they were having trouble aiming down at the runestone when the enemies were getting too close, when the wall was currently kind of at my chest height. So I've lowered it a significant amount because I don't want people to not be able to play the game because of an aesthetic choice. So that I have no problem changing that. That is the exact same thing for up here. The wall has been significantly lowered, so now you can shoot down at enemies from the top of the wall without too much trouble. I've changed a number of the sound effects. I've added monsters to the waves. I won't show them here, but I've done a lot to the wave system. There's new enemies, so just check it out. Hopefully you'll be able to get through all the waves. There's now 21 waves, and then it kind of shifts into endless mode, where the 21st wave continues, but more and more monsters are added. So there's 2 bosses, 20 waves really in total, each one adding new monsters and different variations of monster groups. So that should keep people occupied. I have trouble getting to wave 20 myself, so hopefully, I'm sure people are better than me at this game already, but I'd love to hear where you guys get to in that. The other small addition that we have here is our owl companion, and he's going to be the tutorial guide for the game. I picked an owl over like another person, another archer, because a bird can go fly to points of interest and show you where to look toward, and be a general good companion, and you don't have to worry about why he's not fighting with you. So it's a fairly low maintenance but really useful creature to use. And so he'll be a fairly smart bird. He'll be talking to you during the tutorial and throughout the game, giving you advice and probably some snide remarks. Don't worry, if you do not like your companion, you can always kill him. However, he does respawn. So I thought that was a pretty cool effect, and that will let you show your frustration at the guide, at the same time not ruining your experience if you cut out the tutorial halfway through and aren't really sure what to be doing. So he's a cool bird. He follows you. He'll continue to look at you wherever you are at. So currently he just kind of sits there and revives himself if he dies. but eventually I'll be adding more and more features to him so that he can help you throughout your journey here. Um, I think those are about it for the new additions and features. The full patch notes are available online in the on the store page right next to where you download the demo to see all the changes. I don't think I've missed anything, but if I have, you can always look there and see. So that's it for the current available updates to the game, and now I'm going to shift into talking about what we've done for multiplayer. So this week was the first week that I started working on the multiplayer. I'm using Photon Unity networking for the server side and the code base for the networking system. I've used it before, so it wasn't too hard to get everything up and running. Unfortunately, there's a lot of things to synchronize. 2 hands, a head, the bow, arrows, things like that. So it was a little bit tricky to try to get everything optimized so that everything is fairly smooth in the game and not laggy. And I think we've achieved that this week. Currently, the things that are synchronized are the hands, obviously, and the head, the bow position, whether the bow is being drawn or not, so its animation state of how far the bow is drawn, whether a particular hand has an arrow in it, the quiver position, the bow position, so you can drop the quiver and the bow and they'll remain synchronized from the whatever client owns those 2 pieces, and whether the bow has an arrow in it or not. And then finally, the way that the shooting works is that when you fire an arrow, it sends information about where the arrow was fired from, the position and rotation, and at what velocity the arrow was fired. At that point, your own computer creates an arrow and fires it, so it doesn't have to synchronize those arrows afterward, because that would be a little bit too much processing power and the arrows are moving too fast to reliably be tracked like that over the network. What this means is that cheating is kind of possible, and that I'm being a one-person team, I'm not really looking to try to make a competitive multiplayer game, so I'm going to really kind of ignore the issue of cheating for now and instead focus on making a useful cooperative experience. If people cheat, that is detrimental to their own play, I would say. You will be able to see who is in a game, and so if you don't like, if the person you're playing with is cheating, then you are welcome to leave the game and not play with them again. I don't really know a better solution right now for that. If someone has a good solution for the future, I'm totally open to hear that. I may use the Steam banning cheat detection system so that that is rarer and it kind of filters those people out immediately. But I'm not going to try to police that, because that is too much time to be spent not working on other cool features for the game. So I'm going to be pretty relaxed about the network system here. Everything's going to be done on the client side in terms of tracking, so if people are spoofing their systems, spoofing their positions and everything, then I'm not really going to be handling that. The stuff that still needs to be worked on is everything that's not currently tracked right now. Physics objects, if you throw an arrow, the arrow just kind of disappears out of their hand. It's not being created. Any other physics objects aren't really being tracked over the network. Enemies don't currently have tracking on them, so there's a lot of stuff still to do, but the initial person tracking is all available and it works, and I had the privilege of testing out with the Stone Fox, who is the creator of the VRTK GitHub page, the virtual reality toolkit for Steam VR and the HTC Vive. If you haven't checked that out, I'm using pretty much exclusively his interaction system, and now the community that's behind its interaction system, I've contributed to it. So if you haven't checked it out and you are a developer, please do. It's fantastic, and uh, you'll save yourself so much time if you use that system instead of trying to roll your own on everything. I've included a link in the description, so thanks to him for both the toolkit and helping me out in testing this environment. Hopefully, the initial version of multiplayer will be available for people to test within the next week or two. Um, I want to make it as good as possible before I roll it out to everybody. So I'm going to take my time in making sure that everything's working as intended before that happens. So, I think that's it for this week. Thanks again for watching. Please remember to give any feedback either here in the comments or on the Reddit thread. Um, and because I really appreciate it, and this game would definitely not be as nice as it is right now were it not for people's feedback. So I really do appreciate it. I try to read through every single comment. I haven't gotten to the point where feedback is just an unreadable mountain of information. So I still look at everything, and I usually try to reply to everything as well. So thanks to everybody who's been testing and giving me feedback. It really is appreciated, and I will see you all next week.